To the people who clicked on this video, first of all, thank you. Second, please subscribe to my channel if you are new to it. And thirdly, no, this is not a clickbait video. This analysis has been a long time coming, and I thought it was time I finally looked at and talked about 2019's Queen and Slim, an American road crime drama directed by Melina Matsoukas and written by Lena Waithe, developed from a story by James Frey and Lena Waithe. Alright, I'm going to start this video off by saying this will not be a kind analysis of the film. The point of this analysis will be to talk about the things that makes this film flawed and racially insulting and humiliating with some of its themes and messages that are presented throughout. With that being said, let me start by talking about some of the positives of this film and the things I myself personally loved about the film when I watched it back in 2019. Queen and Slim is a very beautiful looking movie. As someone who is a fan of cinematography, Clyde Radcliffe, the cinematographer of the film, gives it a unique and stylistic look. Given that the majority of the film takes place during the nighttime, dark color palettes are present throughout the nighttime scenes. On top of this, said night scenes also feature neon lights, which help set the mood of the road genre of the film. The protagonists being on the run from the law help show their respective isolation and their moods that change constantly as they try to grapple and come to terms with the nature of their current predicament. One could say that the neon lighting and dark color palette are significant because they show the film perhaps paying homage to the blaxploitation era of cinema, where black characters were prominent, black stereotypes were mostly celebrated in a mocking manner. Future stories were at the forefront, usually dealing with black characters sticking it to white folk or the man, and the fashion worn in the films were flashy and will go on to influence the real-life fashion trends of the 1970s. One of the biggest boxes that Queen and Slim ticks from blaxploitation cinema is the fashion. The respective characters at one point don a silky maroonish red tracksuit and a dress with snake print boots, respectively, which become their looks for the remainder of the movie up until the climax, and was the look that was heavily marketed in the poster and promotional pictures of the movie when it was coming out and was released. Aside from the aesthetics of the film, the acting has to be applauded. Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith both played their parts wonderfully and gave stellar performances as Queen and Slim. And while the writing and the story are very flawed, which we'll get back to later, they both do the best with what they are given, and to their credit, didn't phone it in with their performances. Alright, now it's time for the bad, and warning, this part of the video might go into rant territory, so you have been warned, and I would like to apologize. Okay, here we go. First of all, Queen and Slim is a very bad movie because its first red flag is the fact, for all intents and purposes, it is a black trauma movie. Black trauma movies have become infamous over the years in modern Hollywood. To define them, it would be characterized by films that feature black characters in prominent roles, but often have their narratives and stories be ones where they suffer racism through discrimination or prejudice, and 9 times out of 10, violence, which results in them being abused and sadly killed by white protagonists. Some examples that come to mind are Selma, 12 Years a Slave, Hidden Figures, Judas and the Black Messiah, which coincidentally also stars Daniel Kaluuya, and If Beale Street Could Talk. Now, you may have noticed something. If you either heard or seen the films mentioned, aside from If Beale Street Could Talk, a lot of black trauma movies are based on real-life historical figures and events, and the sad truth is that Hollywood love portraying them when it comes to black trauma in films. People are welcome to interpret the meaning and method behind their actions, but as someone who is black and who is passionate about film, it becomes hard for me not to think and wonder if their reasoning comes across as either them continuing getting off on our trauma or them trying to apologize, both for the crimes of their ancestors centuries ago that was colonization and selling and buying us into slavery, and for the present systemic racism that either they themselves commit or their contemporaries have, either intentionally or unintentionally. Getting back to Queen and Slim, the film frames black trauma at the very beginning. The catalyst of the characters going on the run from the law in the first place is due to them being stopped by a white police officer who, surprise surprise, is racist. Profile Slim tells him to get out of the car he and Queen were driving in, searches his trunk without cause, and points a gun at him. When Slim calmly asks how long will his interrogation take, as he doesn't want to be standing out too long in the cold, Things quickly escalate when the officer turns his gun on Queen, who asks the reasoning for his racial interrogation, and is shot in the leg by the officer. Slim then tackles the officer and the fight ensues, where Slim is overpowered and wrestled to the ground before he shoots the officer dead in self-defense and with the officer's own gun. Now, here is where the problem and flaws of the film are shown. Obviously, this entire scene is written and presented as real life. Black people getting pulled over by the police, always by white police officers, being profiled, and always ending up being shot dead and losing their lives. But the film twists this and makes it even more darker. Queen and Slim were acting in self-defense, but it doesn't matter because they are black and the officer was white, and they literally had the law on his side. The key was already thrown away, with their fates already sealed. It wasn't obvious, Queen and Slim is heavily influenced and inspired by Bonnie and Clyde, the real-life American bandits, and the movies based on them and their years-long crime spree that included bank robberies and murders during the Great Depression and Public Enemy era. This is where another flaw is presented with Queen and Slim, which is the comparison between them and the mentioned Bonnie and Clyde. With the former, they are villainized and literally hunted down due to acting in self-defense and accidentally killing the racist white officer. While it was very wrong of them to just leave his dead body behind and go on their own, some may even see it and call this particular action inhumane. The film goes out of its way to tell the audience that the law will never have been on their side. Even if Slim's killing of the officer can be viewed as manslaughter, he would have got 25 to life had he simply turned himself in. Whether the law would have been lenient is up to debate, but again, the film, and even the characters within the film, paint the picture clearly. They would have locked him up and thrown away the key. Same goes for Queen, who's his accomplice due to the colour of their skin. Comparing the two, Bonnie and Clyde was a mistake because the two were bandits and showed no remorse for their actions of robbing and killing. While the films based on their lives and criminal careers may often romanticize them and portray them as heroes due to the fact they robbed banks during the Great Depression, the two were criminals and serial killers, plain and simple. Queen and Slim, on the other hand, are victims of the racism in America, but still, the movie romanticized them and their action, and even the climax that shows them being brutally shot down and killed by officers who finally tracked them down and cornered them moments before they're about to escape. Despite losing their lives, their legacy is being martyred by their community, and even though realistically they shouldn't be because of the fact they killed an officer of the law and chose to run from the law due to the colour of their skin. If anything, black people should be remembered for a good legacy to leave behind, instead of a martyred legacy that includes racism, discrimination, and prejudice. If you've seen Queen and Slim, then you know one moment, one scene that seals it from being a bad film and also makes it not just racist but also infuriating, insulting, and in bad taste. The scene I'm talking about, well, technically the scenes I'm talking about are the sex scene between Queen and Slim and the scene that features a protest for the two, where a black kid shoots a black police officer. First off, I'm going to say that these two scenes are awful because they are spliced together and show a weird juxtaposition between the two, which frankly makes no sense. I do not know what the film was going for by showing Queen and Slim fucking or making love or whatever you want to call it, intercut with the brutal murder of a black police officer. The black kid in question is someone the two meet whilst being on the run, and he is shown to look up to them, which again is problematic because they shouldn't be looked up to for killing and unintentionally becoming criminals for what they did. What's worse is how the protest is framed. The kid is there showing his support for the two, like other black people who also look up to them. As a kid, he has no place in such a place, and the black police officer knows this and shows compassion, genuinely being concerned for his safety and well-being. And how does he respond to this act of kindness? The kid that is. He impulsively and brutally shoots him in the face and subsequently is shot and killed himself. So again, what was the message? What was the message here? If you were to ask me, I would say that this scene tells me that the police can't be trusted and deserve to die, regardless of their race, because apparently all of them are racist, according to this scene. Lena Waithe badly failed in writing the scene, and Melina Matsoukas also failed filming this scene and letting it be intercut and juxtaposed to the sex scene of Queen and Slim. If their message was to say sex and violence go hand in hand, then again they failed with the execution. To bring this video to a close, I'll say this: Queen and Slim is a good looking movie. The aesthetics and actors' performances greatly carried the movie on their backs. Other than that, the movie fails in its message and fails at having depth. It thinks it has depth, but to be fair, it's really surface level, biased, and one-sided. Ultimately, its message becomes black people good, white people bad. Personally, I do not believe it deserves all the acclaim it got back when it was released, and that down to it being a black troll movie, which I've come to despise greatly over the years. If anything, I think the film should be a cautionary tale, not about black people themselves, but that black creators trying to get into Hollywood, and Hollywood itself for that matter, should stop writing black troll movies and instead focus on celebrating black people and have them in different genres such as fantasy and sci-fi, where they can just have fun, a good time, and be themselves, without having to worry about racism and discrimination. I'm not saying they can't be vulnerable or human. In fact, I'd say have a balance of the two, but don't make black troll movies, which is harmful and potentially have them hate themselves and be worried about stepping out into the real world or interacting with others of different races and backgrounds. That's all I have to say for this video and the film that was the topic of this analysis and conversation. So once again, thank you for watching. Until next time, take care.